I'm gonna open TryHackMe, and from the learn path, I'm gonna go to search, and from search, I will search for DVWA. So DVWA, it's damn vulnerable web application. So it's a server designed to hack and learn. Okay, so I'm gonna start my machine here. And also I'm gonna open my Kali. Let me share this room with all of you. We have another web server, and I recommend all of you go and download this one and start to build your own lab. We have a BW app, okay, but we can install a BW. It's already pre-installed. If you check OWASP web broken application, we have a web server from OWASP, and OWASP, it's a project, non-profitable project, okay, designed to help the developer and the community to secure a web application. Okay, so that's the main purpose of this program here. And they start to categorize and track the internet, which vulnerability, okay, appeared in most of the web application and so on. Okay, and this project now it's expanded, and they cover now an IoT vulnerability and also cover a mobile application vulnerability and cloud. So they cover cloud, IoT, web application, and mobile. So yeah, it's great project to help the developer secure their web application. Okay, and also help the cybersecurity researcher or web application penetration tester to follow a methodology here. Okay, and they build a machine, and this machine contain more than 20 web application or 20 websites that you can go and practice. They have a vulnerable Joomla, WordPress, a control management system, an old version of control management system. They have application, okay, developed using Ruby, PHP, Python, ASP, and so on. So yeah, we have tons of application ready to practice, and I recommend to go and download this one. Okay. Also, when you do a penetration testing or a bug bounty, you need to follow a methodology or follow a checklist. Okay, and we have a OWASP top 10 checklist. Yep, I can go and download this one. Just give me 1 second. So when you do a penetration testing, a web application penetration testing, you need to follow a good methodology. So if you don't have a web penetration methodology right now, okay, you can start with OWASP. Okay, so first they start with information gathering, and we know information gathering is very important step. Okay, so information gathering, we start first with the search engine. So conduct a search engine discovery to find information leakage, and you can go with Google, Shodan, and another great tool you can go and use from Kali. It's called Recon Engine. Okay, and here it's your objective: identify what is sensitive design and configuration information of the application, system, organization exposed directly, and so on. Okay, and yep, you can add your result here. Okay, so yep, I did this one, and you can also add the affected item, and you can put the status if you want, and so on. Okay, if you don't know how to implement such a technique, you can copy this ID, and let me show you something very interesting. You can copy this technique and open YouTube, and from YouTube just search for this keyword here, or from Google, and you will find a lot of resources which help you to implement this technique. Okay, so for example, we have a guy here, is called HY Drosky, but I did watch this video before, and yeah, he just implement the techniques here. So you can follow this methodology. It's really great methodology, And also I recommend, if you don't have your methodology, yeah, you can go with one, and later you can go and start to develop your methodology or just modify this one here according to your need. Okay, so this one covers information gathering, configuration and deployment management testing, identity management testing, also authentication, authorization testing, session management, data validation testing, error handling, cryptography attacks, business logic testing, and client-side testing, and API testing if you're launching an API attack. Okay, so it's very, very important to follow a methodology here. So we are human, okay? We'll forget what is the next step always. So you need to have a kind of reference how to, hack your target, for example. So I recommend to check this GitHub link. Moving to our main objective. So our main objective is to start this web server here and start to practice on this safe environment, and we can apply this technique on a real target. And I will show you how to find a real target over a bug bounty program to start to practice, and also how to make money from this process here. Okay, and I will share you some techniques, real techniques from my experience. Okay, we have now Kali is up and running, and we have the target IP address. Let me copy this target IP address, and from my Firefox, okay, we need to have an authentication, a username and password, and yeah, let's try the default one, admin with password, and yeah, we entered. So this web server, as I mentioned, is designed for practice, and we have a brute forcing technique. We have command injection or RCE, remote code execution. We have CSRF, cross-site request forgery. We have file inclusion, file upload, insecure CAPTCHA, SQL injection, weak session ID, XSS DOM, reflected, stored, CSP bypass, JavaScript. We have a plenty of vulnerability here, so we can go and explore. Okay. So I'm going to check the DVA security first, and I'm going to change this one to low, okay, because we'll start small and move up. And let me open the command injection. So command injection, it's very, very critical vulnerability here. So imagine we have a server, and when you input anything here, this code will be run on the server terminal. So for example, we can add an IP address. So let me put an IP address here and hit submit. And this web application will run my input here on the server terminal and return back an output, which is a bad idea, right? Why it's a bad idea? Because an attacker can run anything here, actually. So we know, yep, we have a reply from the server, but let's try to have an ls. But I don't know if it's a Linux or a Windows server. So yeah, it's very, very important to check the server here. So you can go with a plugin. You can go with a Wapalizer. Let me add a Wapalizer here. But instead of add Wapalizer, let me copy this URL. And from my terminal, I'm going to use a tool. It's called WhatWeb with -v option, and specify the URL here and hit enter. And WhatWeb helped me to identify what's technology really run on this target. And yep, we have an answer. This server is running an Ubuntu, and the web server, it's Apache 2.4.7. And yeah, we have also the XPowered come and confirm. We have an PHP and Ubuntu. That's really interesting, right? So now we know this server, it's a Linux server, and we can run a Linux command here. But let me type a Linux command. Let's add an ls for list here, but we don't have any reply. That's interesting. Maybe they implement a kind of input validation, but you need to understand actually how these parameters work. So let me view the source code. In real life, we don't have access to the back-end code, but this is for demonstration purposes. Okay, so we know we have a PHP code and we have an if function, so we try to input, and now our input will be held in this parameter, okay, in the target parameter. And if you check if this command, this PHP command run on a Windows server, will execute this command here. Hey, go and type Bing and then replace this parameter with the user input. But we know we run on a Linux server. So if you check here, yep, this guy take our input and start using a Bing with -c4. So hey, could you please send 4 packet to this user input? Okay. And we know we can run 2 commands beside each other using a semicolon, right? So if we type 8.8.8.8, so now we know the target variable will hold this value here, okay? And we can add also semicolon because, yep, we need to execute another command here, like ls command. And let's check. And if you look closely, yep, we have the output from the first response, and we have the output from the second command, which is scary. Okay, so semicolon, let me show you here in my terminal how this actually works. Okay, so Bing, we have 8 at C4. So the order doesn't matter, you can add DC after the IP address. And if you type Bing the C4 and IP address, will send the 4 packet. Okay, that's the default behavior related to this application. But now we try to add a semicolon and ls. Now, hey, could you please, we complete the first task, could you please run the second task or second command? And yeah, we have a response here from the second command. So now instead of listing file, we can add semicolon and we can build our payload here, for example. Okay. You can ask me, hey, I'm not a programmer, or I don't know how to automate stuff or create a backdoor or a payload and so on. How I can create something like that? We have a great resource here. It's called Pentester Monkey. So you can type Pentester Monkey. And you can type PHP or reverse shell. Okay. They have a great repo. So you can copy this one. We have a bash script. So if it's a Linux server running bash, you can copy this one and just replace this IP address with your machine IP address, your Kali IP address. And from your Kali, just use a netcat to listen for incoming connection. If you know the machine is running on Perl, you can go with Perl command. Just make sure that you modify an IP address. If you know your target is running Python, you can go with this one and modify an IP address. If you know your target is running PHP, Ruby, or you can also using netcat. Okay, so you can use a netcat here. With netcat, execute a shell script and return this shell terminal to this IP address on this port, and you need to listen on this port using nc-nlvp, and you can put 1, 2, 3. And now you're listening on this port. So you're waiting for, hey, I'm waiting for any incoming connection on this port here. Just run this payload in this Linux terminal. Is that clear? Any question?
Yes, one quick question. So during
Sure.
our OSP exam, can we use a Pentester Monkey?
Yeah, you can use a pen tester monkey.
Okay.
Okay. The only thing is prohibited using an automated scanner. Automated scanner like Nessus, OpenVAS, Quali, and so on. Also, Purpose Suite scanner. You can use a Purpose Suite as a proxy. Okay, I will show you how to use a Purpose Suite uh, to find the vulnerability using manual technique instead of using a Purpose Suite vulnerability scanner actually. Okay, so we know this vulnerability could happen because our developer here doesn't have an experience to develop a secure application. But now we are going to hire another developer. And now let's increase the security level to medium. And let's try to exploit the same vulnerability using semicolon ls and nothing happened. So let's check again the source code. And from the source code, let's understand what's the techniques they implement to prevent our payload here. And if you look closely, they have an array, okay? And this array substitute this character with nothing. So if you enter semicolon or and for example, to add another command, yeah, they will remove it, which is nice for them. So now we need to find another technique to exploit this vulnerability. Okay. If you know Linux well, you can add a pipe command. So you can add a pipe command, ls, and hit submit, and voila, we able to exploit this vulnerability. Okay. You can add also or. You can add pipe, or you can add or to exploit this vulnerability, not semicolon. So if the developer here don't know all the technique to block this kind of vulnerability, we still can bypass their security mechanism or security controls here. Okay. Command injection, it's really a critical vulnerability which allow an attacker to hack into the server, start list items, and trust me, you will find an RCE vulnerability in the OWSAP exam. Okay. Because yeah, it will help you to hack into one of OWSAP servers. So we have a vulnerability scanner, okay? So if you want to find an RCE easily, okay, in bug bounty, we have another tool, it's called comics. Okay, so we have a comics project. It's a vulnerability scanner designed to exploit a remote code execution. Okay, if you look closely, yep, you can go with comics and you can give it a URL. And we have here, you can add data or not, so just hit enter and comics will do the magic for you. Okay, if you try to download comics right now and run comics against DVWA, it will fail because you need to give the tool authentication. Okay, because yep, we can't access this page unless we specify a username and password. Okay, so yeah, you need to make sure that you specify a credential here before attacking this page here. So that's why the tool will fail if you don't give it a right credential. Okay. So comics, it's very popular one, very strong one when it comes to remote code execution finding. Okay. So I recommend this one really, and go and install this one and start hunt publicly. Okay, we have another vulnerability. Let me decrease the severity. high or impossible, they are, I believe high, it's hard to exploit. They implement this for best practice. I don't know, but let me check. They have a substitution. Okay. Could you spot a vulnerability here in this code? Who can find the vulnerability here? So this substitute and semicolon pipe dash $sign brackets single quote and or. So how to exploit this vulnerability? Where is the problem in the code here? Who can solve it? You must have a sharp sight.
Can we use double quote?
We cannot use double quote.
Okay.
Just take your time. I did found the problem actually. And I know some of you will notice the vulnerability.
How about the full stop?
How about the what?
The full stop.
Full stop.
Now, yeah.
Yeah,
Like
actually, no, it's not gonna help us. But we have the developer here. He did a great mistake, okay, because he was on hurry, okay, to develop this code. We are
I think under there, else then he open a circle, then and there is no code.
Could you repeat again, Mr. Mahmoud?
I say the code is not complete. He in the loop there. If he wrote else, then he don't write the another function.
Maybe there is a
Then he
space in
stop.
the pipe.
No.
Yeah,
still,
sorry. That you continue. Oh, sorry.
There is a space in the pipe. Oh, no.
Yeah, who gave me this answer?
The array is not as complete. The last
Anas,
element
right?
a comma.
No, it's not a comma, but I had a great answer here. Anas, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy here really found a severe error. So see this one? We have a space here. So what happened here actually? The code will replace the first pipe and you're not gonna check the second part. So you can add two pipe actually. See, it's very, very small error, okay? But we, as an attacker, we can use this advantage here and hack into the server, okay? So this one, in order to solve this vulnerability, it must look like this one, not this one, because here the attacker can insert, for example, maybe a semicolon, right? Because we have the filter, try to filter here, this one first. Yeah, thank you, Anas.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move again and move to file inclusion. So file inclusion, it's very, very straightforward vulnerability. And let me click on this file. We have a user, we have an IP address, blah, 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 blah. We have a file again. And if you look closely here, we have our website IP address or domain. and we have the first location, second location, and we have this question mark, and this question mark will it divide the URL into two parts. Okay, the first part and the parameter part, and we have here a page, and we try to access this file from the server. So actually, let me return back. So this parameter, this page parameter, designed to access file from the server. That's the main purpose of this parameter here. And let me back and try to access another file. Yep, we're still accessing file number 3. Let me open file number 1. Yep, we still can access file number 1 and so on. So yeah, this parameter again designed to access file from the local server. Okay, so we, as an attacker, we can trick this parameter to access another file. Maybe we can go to access etc pass wt. Yep, maybe contain sensitive data. We return with nothing. So let's return back one more time, because we know order matter in the Linux. So let's back 3 times. Let's back 4 times. Let's back 5 times. And yeah, we did it. We now able to access the pass.wd text file. See? So this parameter, we know try to access a local file from the server, and now we use this parameter to access a different file. That's a hacking. Okay, we didn't change the nature of this parameter here, but we use this parameter to achieve our goal. Okay, and yep, we have pass.wd. Okay, we have root, we have daemon, we have MySQL, we have Ubuntu, we have backup, and so on. So we have a lot of user here. Okay, if you have an administrator privilege or root privilege, now you can go with shadow. Okay, but yep, we can not access shadow. Let me show you this technique in a test website, but this one is public, testphp.onweb.com. And let's move to okay. Yeah, it's another parameter, but this one it's called file. Okay, not page. And this file try to access a folder. It's called picture, and try to access picture number 1 from this file. Let's try to open picture number 2. Yep, we're still able to browse here. So let's picture number 3. Yep, that's great. Okay, so now we try to access a file from the server. Okay, so if they don't have an input sanitization which block any malicious payload here, okay, we can check actually, but I need to open a new tool, Purpose Suite, and let me introduce Purpose Suite here. So Purpose Suite, it's one of greatest tool. It's a web proxy which intercept data between a client, the web application, and the server, and we can modify actually data between web application and the server. And I'm gonna download another plugin here. It's called Foxy Proxy. So this one allows me to modify my proxy setting easily in Google Chrome without entering the setting, and just add my local IP address, configuring the port, and so on. So yeah, it's very, very simple. So I'm gonna go to download, proxy download, and I'm using Firefox. Let me download the Firefox. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna configure my proxy by clicking on options, add, give it any name you want. Put your IP address, your local IP address, because a Purple Suite will be running on your local IP address. And I'm using port 8080 because that's a pre-configured port used by Purple Suite. And now we have Fox proxy is running. It's now installed. I'm gonna open my proxy. And okay, here my proxy setting. So you can use a proxy tab, and the proxy tab here allow you to intercept traffic between the web application and the server. And if you click on options, yeah, that's the configuration you need to configure in your browser. I'm interested in an intercept part. And now we can start our interceptor. I'm intercepting the traffic. And let me refresh this page, but now the traffic will move to my proxy instead moving directly to my server. So if you look closely here, that's an HTTP request, a normal HTTP request. We have a GET method, and we try to access this code, okay? And we have a parameter in this code, try to access a picture. It's called 1.jpg from this folder. And we have the host, web user agent. Yep, waiting for an image. So our response will be an image. We accept this language, encoding, and so on. But instead of sending these requests to the server, I'm going to right click and send to my repeater. And repeater help me to study the application behavior. Okay, so let me close the intercept, and now my data move to the server, and I have my response here. That's great. But if you go to repeater, you can go send, and you can actually keep sending this request over and over and over, okay? Because you want to analyze the request here actually. And yeah, we have a response from the server, 200, okay. That's it, great. And we have server, it's Nginx, we have date, we have content type, no, it's an image, and we have powered by, it's a PHP, and we have the content lens, here is the content lens. And yeah, that's how the image looks like. It's raw data. It's raw data. Okay. Can go with render to also display the image if you want to display it, but let me move to raw data. So what happened if I modify this one to 2? Yep, I have another image, right? But let me exploit the local file inclusion using my proxy here. Okay, so I'm going to go with etc past.wd. And yep, we have an error, so we cannot open this file. But let me try to return back one more time. And yep, we did it. We now be able to find the etc past.wd content from this server. Okay, I know this is a demo server published online, but let me show you how to exploit local file inclusion in wild here. I go with LFI and type LFI parameters. Okay. And yep, trust me, I'm here to help. So we have a parameters. So if you remember, we have a file parameter, and we know this file could be vulnerable to local file inclusion. Okay. And we have also page, and we know page could be vulnerable also to local file inclusion. So in penetration testing or bug bounty, you need to find all the parameters in the web page, okay? And you can find this parameter using a web spidering, or you can use archive.org from yesterday's session, okay? Or you can simply go and browse the web application. Okay, just open all the link and so on and start to make note. But yeah, it's very, very hard process actually to gather all these parameters using manual technique. So we prefer to go with the spider or go with archive.org if you rely on a red teaming activity and you don't want anyone to notice that you try to hack the website. But you need to find these parameters. Okay, so this parameter is vulnerable to LFI, local file inclusion. So if we have a cat, if we have dir, if we have action, board, date, detail, file, we know file, yeah, it's vulnerable. Could be vulnerable, not every time vulnerable, but yeah, it could be vulnerable. We have page, yeah, it could be. We have include, we have prefix, we have folder, we have inc, locate, and so on. So you need to have a note. You need to build your own note. For example, LFI hunting parameters. Okay, LFI hunting parameters. Now we need to search for this parameter every time you want to exploit a local file inclusion. Okay, but hey, you have another question. You saw me just type // etc pass wd, and I keep moving back, right? Keep moving back until I found a right directory, okay, of the file. You can go to Google, and Google, yeah, it's a great friend. You can type LFI payloads. Yeah, we have a lot of tools to exploit actual LFI, but let me go with GitHub. Yes, LFI payload list. This one from 3 years ago. I recommend to find a recent one. Okay, you can also try the oldest list here, but yeah, this one is 3 megabyte. See, we have a tons and payload. But you have another question. I don't have enough time to try all these payload. Man, you're kidding, right? Hey, I don't have a time to copy this one, just paste, stop working, yep, moving to second line, paste it, moving to third line, and so on. So that's why we have, in Purpose Suite, we have fuzzers, okay? So fuzzer or intruder will help you to use an LFI list here. Let me show you right now. So from the repeater, I'm gonna right click and send to intruder here. Okay. And from intruder, yeah, it's very, very smart. I'm here telling my intruder, please send this request, okay, over and over and over. But every time, just change this value here from the payload list that I'm gonna specify. So I'm gonna go to my GitHub and copy this payload list, paste it here. Okay. Maybe gonna take some time because yeah, it's 3 megabytes and we're using virtualization. I'm not gonna copy all of these payloads. Let's copy, paste it. And now we telling Purpose Suite, hey, could you please send this request every time? And in each time, just replace this value with a payload, one of these payload lists here. And start attack, hit OK. And yeah, it's very, very, very slow. Why it's very slow? Because yeah, it's a free version. If you have the Purpose Suite professional one, you can send a tons of requests in a couple of seconds, but I don't recommend to do that. If you're doing a red teaming activity, you can send a payload every, 1 minute, for example. Sometimes you can do this technique. But in penetration testing, you can go with send 50 payload per second, for example. Okay, and keep your eyes on the lens here. If you have a different lens, that's mean we have a different page. So yeah, we need access the pass WD. Okay, so they near to each other. Okay, but yeah, you need to try another payload. Let me try to find a working payload here, actually. Yeah, let's try one of these. Or no, it needs the for directory. Let's copy this portion here. Let me discard. Let's clear and paste the new value. Hit start attack. See, this one have a different value. Maybe, yep, we have right data. So you need to keep your eyes on the lens column here, because the lens column will give you a different value when we have the right page. Is that clear? We can open HackerOne. I will try to download a report and share it with you. Okay, but let me check my report first, because some of them have confidential data. So hackers activity. And let me search for local file inclusion, LFI. We have LFI in Sony, at Sony. But we don't have the payload or the technique, actually. We have LFI in this website. Let me check. Yeah, he did access etc hostname using this payload. Okay, let's find this one. I have also LFI in the Department of Defense, and the guy here, he elevate his attack to become an RCE, remote code execution, using a CV, a public vulnerability here. Yeah, that's really nice. So yeah, LFI could be shamed to become an RCE. Okay. So yeah, we have a different payload here. It's not hard to start with bug bounty. Okay. I'm now preparing a bug bounty course. It will be recorded, and I believe it will be available for all of you for free. Okay, on InfoSec 40C. I'm sharing my techniques to find application vulnerability. Okay, my rank on HackerOne, I'm the second in Egypt. So I will try to share my experience actually to find a vulnerability. Okay, yeah, trust me, it's very, very interesting way to make money. Okay, yeah, you just do legal hacking here, hack into one of big companies. They're very popular, well known, and so on, and you put later this information and this bounty in your CV. It will give you credit and credibility. Okay. So again, from this website, you can understand the new techniques used by hackers. Trust me. Yeah, go and read every report here. It will add to your experience. Okay, how do you find the vulnerability and so on. Okay. And local file inclusion, yeah, it's very, very easy to find. Just do spidering and look for these parameter. If you find any of these parameter, just use intruder and try to send the payloads. And if you get a different response, that's mean, yeah, you succeed. Okay, but let me show how to use an archive. And from archive, we can search megacore1.com, I believe. That's the website I gave to you. And from URL, you can move and try. Let's first try to find dir. We didn't find dir. Let's try to add action. We don't have action. Let's type action itself. We don't have action. Let me add equal. And we have a parameter called C and parameter called V. So now you need to interact with this parameter and see how to find the vulnerability here. Maybe this parameter communicate with database, so you need to exploit SQL injection. Maybe this parameter echo back what you enter, so maybe you need to exploit an XSS. So it depends here. Okay, so that's how to easily find the parameter. Just put a URL, and from the search bar here, just put the parameter, and now take this URL and use Purpose Suite to find an LFI. Also, Purpose Suite have a search feature. From Perp, you can go with search, but yeah, it's for Pro version only.